advocates internally the professionalization of youth work in Jamaica. Ketania has been working with the organization since 2016 and represents Jamaica as a member of the Commonwealth Alliance of Youth Workers Association Steering Committee. Ketania is also Achieving Scholar, and was recently awarded an MA in Social Entrepreneurship of Goldsmith University of London. As a social enterprise practitioner with over 5 years experience in social experience research and providing technical support to social enterprises across Jamaica through teaching and enterprise development assistant, she has become an anchor in development and growth of social enterprise. With her background and passion for youth and social enterprise development, she is creating strategic linkage between the two in order to sustain youth operations using social enterprises as a tool. Ketania enjoys traveling as it gives her an opportunity to experience different cultures, perspective, and most of all, to meet new people. I hope that we will all give in, take notes, so that we can better able to move our DAC forward as well as our community and parish at large. Please welcome Miss Ketania Griffiths, everyone.
So you can welcome her either by giving her a hand or use your emojis at the bottom, your reactions. You can give her a clap hand. So I hope persons can use the, you're not letting Hezekiah down after all that training. So you can use the reactions down at the bottom and give a clap hand. Let me just, for some housekeeping matters before you come on, Ketania, keep your mics off, muted. If you speak, please unmute and then mute again. Ensure that you keep your mics off, your mics muted. It is very important because sometimes it is distraction. Also, I would prefer if you make notes in your chat. If you have questions, make notes in the chat, and then we can deal with them one at a time. So I'm calling the chat our parking area. So in the parking lot, put down those ideas and those questions, and then she'll pause and give you give an opportunity to to respond to some of the questions that are going to be asked. Also, we're going to be looking at giving every 2 hours or so we give a little wellness break so that you can stretch or grab something to eat. But we know everybody's busy, so we're going to try and keep it very tight. All right. Thank you, everybody, and please make Miss Griffiths very welcome. Ketania, thank you for doing this for us. We really appreciate it.
All right, thank you, Eureka. Look like I missed Hezekiah training because I am so not used to Zoom. So I think I should have been a part of that training. I would have well appreciated the lessons.
Okay. All right. Next time when we do the update, we'll make sure that we invite you.
Okay, no problem. Thank you for having me. It has been a while since I've interacted like this with persons. I kind of miss it from the Comet days. I see a lot of CDCs who were part of the Comet project. So I would have probably not interacted with the persons who are on the call now or in the workshop now, but would have interacted with different community development organizations and NGOs who were also a part of the Comet 2 project. I'm not sure if anyone remembers that project, but I was a part of Knife's team. Yes, who was a part of that project. So really feel happy and elated and thankful to be a part of this session. Not only because it is just giving us as an NGO strength in seeking funding and in seeking partnerships with different persons, but also to learn from each other and to pull on the strengths of each other when we take on these grant proposal writing sessions. Because I always say it, because something I learned from Knife, one hand can clap and many hands make the work light. It's really a joy to see so many persons on, just to get better understanding of grant proposal writing. As Ms. Douglas said, it takes time to learn and it takes time to understand. It is really after trying and getting all the lessons learned that you can nail down pat how to write the grants, what different partners want, what different donors want, and what makes your organization comfortable. And we will go into all of that. So not only the nitty-gritty of writing the grant proposals, or writing a grant proposal, but also getting comfortable with who or what the organization is doing or who the organization is for, getting comfortable with what the organization needs and knowing how to present that in that grant proposal. All right, so as I did the disclaimer earlier, I'm not too affair with Zoom. So I'm just going to ask for some assistance if there are any questions in the chat. I have my pen with me so I can write down the questions as we go along. But I really want this to be an interactive session.
Yes, we'll help you with that, Ketania. Okay, we'll just give every now and then we'll give you a little nudge to let you know if there are questions in the chat.
Awesome. Yes. So we can get right into it. Oh, what I was going to say before was that I do hope that it is as interactive as possible, because me just talking to you about writing a grant actually won't help. You giving me your input and some of your experiences, if you have had experiences in writing grants, it doesn't matter how big or small they are, really helps in just kind of framing and broadening the understanding of grant proposal writing from my perspective, from your perspective, from Ms. Douglas' perspective, because each of us have different experiences. So that is what the session should really be about, learning from each other, learning from each other's experience. And of course, you know your communities best, you know your beneficiaries best, and therefore will be better able to add some real content to this session that we have now. All right, so welcome everyone. And I did a little, all right, let's write, there we go. All right, so it's grant proposal writing, and I put in the intro our version, what we learned through our experience, because with
You're muted, Ketania.
I am at the intersection of a major roadway, so there was a huge truck passing by.
I understand.
Right, so as the introduction says, it's our version, what we learned through our experience. And why I'm taking this angle is because sometimes we look at grant proposal writing as something that is difficult and out of our reach, and we cannot do it, and you know, but really and truly, if we are writing a grant for our community, we know our community best. We know the persons, we know the problems, we understand some of the solutions that are needed in the community, and therefore pulling on those things can really help us to better define some of the things that we want to put in the grant proposal, to kind of persuade the donors now to support us, whether it's through giving us some funding or additional resources. It could be in-kind resources, but we know how it is that our communities are structured, and we understand the situations within our communities, and so are placed in a very good area or place in the center of the problem and in the center of the solution, in putting forward something that is rigid and something that is reasonable, so the donors now can then take that and run with it. Okay. All right, so there are different purposes for writing grant proposals. The first we can think about is funding. We hear a call for proposal that is out there, whether through word of mouth or newspaper or social media. And it is something that we believe our organization can do, and it's something that our organization is willing to do and need the funding to do it. So we see it as a way of getting funding to carry out activities or programs in our communities and in our towns. The next is to get buy-in. So for example, you have an idea, or you have developed an idea, and you want to get different partners and different stakeholders involved in the idea that you have, and therefore you write a proposal, not necessarily a grant proposal, but you write a proposal to get the information out there and to get feedback from your partners, your beneficiaries, your stakeholders, to see what they think of the idea and if they are willing to invest in the idea. And looking internally now at the organization, whether it's CDC or any of the body of different groups which are a part of the development committee, it provides direction and it provides structure for the organization internally. Because if you realize that once you start to write things down and once you start to really think more about what it is that you want to do, it gives you a clearer vision of the direction that you want things to go in, or who it is that you want to partner with. So it provides direction and it gives you a bit of structure in how you move forward with the organization. So those are three of the main purposes for a grant proposal. And as I said before, funding would be one of the main things that you think about when you hear about grant writing or proposal writing. Is everyone with me so far?
Yes, I am.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes.
Okay, so here now is where I would like a bit of input, because in the grant proposal process and through my own experience, what happens is that if you look at the screen, you see two different sections. And one is understanding the problem. You write a proposal to solve the problem, and then you find a grant to fit the problem. On the other hand, you see a call for proposal, you try to fit whatever it is that you're doing within that call for proposal, and then you submit the proposal to the donor. Now, I have recognized a challenge with the one on the right, and I'm not sure if you also have that challenge, where I call it the back way around, where you see a call for proposal and you try to fit your organization within that proposal. So it's kind of trying to tweak what it is that you're doing or trying to stretch what it is that you're doing in order to fit within that proposal. And sometimes it causes challenges within the organization. One, because of the lack of resources that you have to kind of carry out the activities that this particular proposal is asking for. And so many different challenges which may arise. I'm not sure if anyone has had that problem with the proposal process, as I put it. Any comments as it relates to that? Or additions?
Unmute and please answer, Ms. Griffiths. From the PDC point of view, yes, we have had challenges in terms of trying to, so persons will approach us and say, oh, I want my school to be fenced, for example. I'm just giving an example. And then the calls that we see out there are mostly environmental related, climate change related or something like that, or maybe capacity building related, maybe targeting softer skills rather than an infrastructural project. And so you have to find a way to put some of those things or put them on hold and then tweak your proposal to fit and still address some of the issues that the institution may have. So yes, we have that challenge. Anybody else wants to share?
Good morning again.
Yes,
Brilliant.
Raquel.
In 2019, when the club, we wanted a place to call our home whereby we could have our weekly meetings, the basic school, which was there, it's not been used for a period of time. We never had any electricity there, but upon approaching JPS, they said that they need authorization letter as to the owner of the premises, as to which we had some challenges because that property was owned by SCJ Holdings. And also I've approached another organization as it relates to getting the bathrooms refurbished as well. And they said that we have to have some form of, because they said they don't want to come in. First of all, we have to have go ahead from the property owner to say, yes, they are giving us consent. And upon this date, we are unable to get access. We have access to the premises, but until this day, we haven't gotten any permission as to say to go forward, that the club is indeed in ownership of the premises for us to seek any funding as to relates to the refurbishing of that building.
Okay. So yes, those are some real challenges that we face as NGOs and CBOs. On the other hand, the ideal scenario that would just make things work more smoothly is if within our communities we see a problem. For example, the SGP grant speaks about post-COVID, you can just correct me if I'm wrong, post-COVID intervention for community development broadly. And what has recently been found is that majority of the deaths from COVID-19 has been from persons with underlying conditions such as diabetes. And diabetes is one of those lifestyle diseases. So for example, a CDC is looking at health and wellness in their communities and decides to create wellness parks wellness parks within the community with a jogging or walking area, and cycling. Cycling, a cycling path, get an instructor to do aerobics once a week, targeting different persons from toddlers to teenagers to the elderly, and coming out on specific days and just, moving the body. If we had that, if we saw that the problem of the health situation in our community, and then we understand or we see a solution that we can use to kind of solve or alleviate that problem, then we write a proposal identifying that problem, looking at the solutions for that problem, and looking at a budget and time scale in which we believe that the problem will be solved. Then we move on to now finding a grant to fit that problem, or to fit the solution, or a grant that can give us the support to
what's going on?
A grant that can give us the solution, or give us the resources that is needed to get that project moving. That would be an ideal situation in which.
Huh? Who?
Mr. Irvin, can you mute? We're trying to mute you. Can you mute your mic, please?
Mr. Irvin, like he's gone.
Okay. I'm trying to mute him but I'm not able. Go ahead.
Right. So that would be an ideal situation where you understand the problem, you have the solution, you understand the solution.
Hold on a second, Ketania. Let me see if I can mute. I'm going to mute everybody and then you unmute.
Okay.
All right. So he's quiet now again. Quiet again.
Right. But not only that, is that internally now, you can pull on the different persons, because you have been talking about this problem. You see the solution, and you can identify persons within your organization who will fit perfectly in helping you to implement the suggested plans that you have that you are putting in the proposal. So those are the two different scenarios as it relates to proposal writing. And what I'm saying is that we should try our best to move towards a point where we are able to better define how we fit into a grant proposal, or how we fit into a donor's call for proposal. Understanding how it is that we will be able to add value to what they are doing, but also benefiting without stressing ourselves about how it is that we will do what we say we will do in the proposal that we submit to them. All right, ideal scenario. You find a suitable call for proposal which meets the organization's needs. What's next? So with this SGP proposal now, you see it and you say, yeah, man, this proposal is what we need. I see how we can benefit from this proposal. We have this activity that we can do. We have that activity that we can do. Or read the call for proposal and get input. Call Miss Douglas and find out from her what exactly is needed for this proposal. And I don't want to get it mixed up now. Call Miss Hyacinth Douglas to get her insight on what it is that SGPGF is looking for in this proposal. And knowing her, she'll willingly assist you or find someone who can assist you in even putting the proposal together so that you can have the best presentation of what it is that you are offering within the proposal. The second is start to do your research on what is required from the donor and what is required for, from you in effectively carrying out the proposal. So it's not just looking at what the donor wants, but also when you read the proposal, what exactly is the proposal looking for? Who is it that you need to talk to get more information about it? And we're talking now about practitioners or persons who are skilled in the particular area, who have been working in the particular area that you want to write the proposal on. Find out from them, do your research, go into the community, ask your beneficiaries in the community, talk to the churches in the community, the youth clubs in the communities, to get an understanding of how this idea of what you want to present in the proposal will, how they see and how they will benefit from these things. Follow up with grant donors. I know that sometimes they do have workshops that you can go to where they will outline to you what is required, what are the best practices, what they are looking for. And again, as I mentioned before, help you to outline what they want the proposal to look like and the key points that they are looking for within the proposals. I know that SGP does it. I'm not going to say all the time, but I know that they do it. They do it. Know that they do it at times. And start working on your proposal from early, not a week before or like 2 weeks before, because it doesn't give you adequate time to put all the information together and to get feedback from different persons who you want to send the proposal to. So start writing the proposal from early, and so you can get feedback from the donor possibly, so you can ask questions from your partners and your different stakeholders. So you can have a well-rounded proposal so that when the project funding comes in now and it's time for you to move forward into engage in the community, more persons understand where the stage and what exactly it is that you're working with, because you had already approached them. Any questions so far?
Seems no questions, so we can continue.
Okay.
Just to mention, when Ketania mentioned about Hyacinth Douglas, She's actually the national coordinator for Jeff SGP. So, you know, for each project, for each funder, you have somebody who, or a set of persons who may be assigned to helping the projects or their projects to their projects to be carried through. So, for example, with EFJ, you might be assigned to a Mark Constable or Charmaine Weber. In any case, you can ask those persons for help. And sometimes they have workshops before just to tell you about the project proposals.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, Ms. Matthews.
Sure, go ahead.
You made mention earlier about NGO and the CBOs. Can you explain briefly, please, what the acronyms stand for?
Okay, so NGO is non-governmental organization and CBO is community-based organization.
Thanks much.
You are welcome.
Ms. Griffiths?
Sure.
Yeah, I want to find out if grants are made available to individuals or to groups.
Sure. All right. So for grant proposals, they are mainly for groups. You have to be a group in order for you to get that funding. But there are other types of proposals. For example, if you personally have a business and you want funding for your business, then you have a business proposal that you can write. But that is different from a grant proposal. Mr. Dawkins, is that clearer?
Yes, ma'am, I understand you. Okay, thanks.
Right. And a part of the reason why it is more group oriented is because more people are able to benefit and there is more accountability from a group perspective. Because once you have a board of directors and you have a governance structure which manages funding or manages how a project is implemented and how and who the project reaches and who benefits from the project. From a group perspective or from the donor's perspective, a group is more ideal because of the extension of the support that the group can give to the community compared to just one individual.
Okay.
All right, so now we're getting into the nitty-gritty of proposals. And I'll keep saying grant proposals because that is what we are really aiming to strengthen our capacity in producing grant proposals so that we can get those fundings. What happened here? Right. So this now is just, this is what is required for all grants. These are the elements or the components that are required for all grants. And what I've done here, and Miss Douglas had just spoken about them, the EFJ grant, the SGP grant, the Digicel grant, USAID grant, all those different grants, when you look at them, some of them might have or add different components, but all of them have these components that you should write on when you are submitting the grant. They ask for all of these components. So they ask for the rationale, and the rationale is another word for the background, which is another another indication for the introduction. They ask for the organization's background, always project goal, ask for the objective, outputs, outcomes, activities, monitoring and evaluation, budget and reporting. And again, I'm just going back to what Ms. Douglas had said about the budget component. The budget component is one of the critical components in the proposal, and so I'll spend a good amount of time on the budget component of this workshop. Another thing to note is that while I am referring to different organizations that may have a call out for proposals, different donors, or whether it be local organizations such as EFJ or Digital Foundation, or international donors such as USAID, the EU, Inter-American Development Bank, Canadian Foundation, I'm not even sure if Canadian Foundation, but the Canadian Embassy, British Council, even though they might have a call for proposal and they usually have a template which you just fill in the information. If you, for example, want to write your own proposal to seek funding elsewhere, then the slide which was before is a good reference for you to develop your proposal. So each heading you write on each heading and you can submit that. I do have a template, the SGP template that I'm going to share with you as we go through this process. Are we good so far?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. And just let me know if I'm going too fast, and if you want me to slow down, if you want me to repeat anything, because I'm more than willing to do that. All right, so the project proposal or the project rationale. And as I mentioned before, this is simply the background of, or the background explanation to why you are proposing this particular solution. What is happening in your space? What is happening in your community? Why it is that you are proposing this particular solution? And how does this solution actually help to solve whatever problem or challenges you are having in the community? So that is what really the rationale is about. The rationale is where you are actually selling the proposal to your partners or to your donors. This is where you tell them what is happening in the community. You tell them the numbers, you give them facts. You go out in the community if you need to, if you have to, go out into the community and ask community members, engage them, talk to them, hear what it is that they're saying. And so you have evidence to prove that this is the challenge that the community is having, and you are proposing this particular solution. And in proposing the solution as well, go out and talk to experts. Find out if this is the correct way or if there's another way that you can do it. Looking even at the context that your community is in. For example, you wanting to set up, you're dealing with woman empowerment or woman employment. And so you want to set up a farming co-op in your community. Visit RADA, Ministry of Agriculture, talk to Scientific Research Council, get those persons involved to find out exactly where the trends are as it relates to produce that should be farmed, so that you can get the benefits of get the benefits after the project has ended. Find out from them what is happening, find out from them what is the best thing to do, so that when you write your proposal, you have evidence, because you can then say that the chief agricultural organization in Jamaica suggests. So it gives your proposal a bit more body, and offers evidence to say that, yeah man, this group did their research and they know exactly what it is that they're doing or what it is that they want to do. So it really gives the donor that encouragement and that faith that the organization understands what it is that they are doing. So that is really what the rationale is about. And as I had mentioned before, you within your different communities and within your spaces, you understand the problems within the communities. And you talk day to day with persons in the communities. So writing that part shouldn't be difficult, but want you to just extend it a bit and just get more persons involved in the conversation, so you can have a broader idea of what the problem looks like and how the solution that you're proposing will fit or will help to alleviate some of the problems that you want to solve. Any questions on the rationale? Are we clear?
Yes.
I hope we are clear now, because we have an activity coming up, and we will be writing, So I just hope that we are clear,
Members, are you really clear? Do you understand what the project rationale is? It's a justification for your project. So you say you have a drainage problem, right? Do you have the drainage problem because persons are throwing plastic bags, bottles and bags into the drain? Are you going to explain that in your rationale? So you probably need to implement a recycling project or a composting project to get rid of all the garbage, or a waste management project. So it explains about the project and it gives them a sort of a background. So if we're going to be doing a project, say in Palmer's Cross, I see Romeo has his mic open, we have to explain about the community and give some general idea about why we want to do the project.
Okay,
are we clear? Yes, Romeo.
Good morning, everyone, again. That's a project that Farmers Cross could undertake, but at the same time, we have an issue that we do not really have a play field, and the one done by Palmer, you would know that one, Miss Douglas.
Yeah.
We would like to develop that one, and I think that's something that I would love to see done in the near future. That's something I would love.
So what would be the rationale for that? Go back to where Kethania is.
Right.
In your just off the top of your head.
Health and wellness.
Health and wellness, yes. And would you need to get any data if you're going to talk about health and wellness?
I
do you need to get some information about how many persons are sick because of lifestyle diseases?
Yes. And
where would you get that information from? Who would be your partner right there?
that would be the Ministry of Health.
Yes,
I don't know.
That's right, Ministry of Health. You could, yeah, that is correct. They have data on that.
I also believe that it would take away some of the idle hands in that.
So that's another rationale. Yes.
And that is also part of health and wellness.
Yeah. Youth want some a space to play.
Mm-hmm.
So would you give some information about the population of the youth population in that area?
Exactly, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Where would you get that information?
I could get that from the SDC.
Okay, all right. Now we're talking. Over to you. Over to you, Kentania.
Who was that, Mr. Stewart?
No, that's Romeo. You know, Romeo, we're from. He's from the Mapen DSC, Palmer's Cross area.
Right here, Juliet.
Yeah.
That was excellent, Romeo. That is how you think through your rationale. That is how you kind of present the information for the rationale. So it's not just saying that you want a playing field, but saying why the playing field is necessary, saying who the playing field will benefit, how many persons will benefit from the playing field as well. So you're putting all of that information into the rationale. So you're providing information that the donors don't know because they have never been to your community. They probably don't even know where your community is. But once you put the information in it, they start to visualize now what exactly is happening in the community and why it is that you really need the funding in order for you to carry out the activities that you need to help your community. So that is what the rationale does. Because I never know about Romeo's community, but I can then visualize what Romeo is talking about as it relates to the project that he wants to see in his community. All right, so then we move on now to the project goal. The goal is the broad reason why of what the project wants to achieve. So, for example, and I'll keep going back to your playing field, Romeo. I'll use that as the example throughout this workshop. Romeo mentioned that the goal of the setting up the playing field is to increase health and wellness in his community. And he spoke about two different areas of health and wellness. One, providing a safe space for young people to play and to interact. And the second is providing a space where people are then can exercise, as I had mentioned before. They can walk and just view different sceneries and again interact. So he's looking broadly at what putting a playing field in his community how that will help his community. And that is what the project goal is. The reason why you want whatever it is that you're asking for in the space that you're asking for. Why is it that you want that there? The project goal should be defined and it should be specific. And Romeo was very specific. Playing field is what I want. Specific to the project and the impact the project will have on improving the situation or responding positively to the challenges. And here we focus on long-term effects. So the project, even though the project is speaking specifically of what it is that you want within your community, it is not looking at the no. only. It's looking way beyond 15, 10, 20 years from now. So it's a long-term effect of what you are proposing now to be implemented. So the project goal is more long-term. Anybody wants to give me an example of a project goal, something that you've done within your community as well? Probably you've written a proposal and that was your project goal. Anybody wants to share?
Before you do that, Kethania,
Sure.
there is a comment in chat from Kimoy Benjamin. She's
Right.
from the Kellits DA. So she says that we wrote a proposal for the play field at Brandon Hill Primary in 2018. We were told it was a good project, but it was supposed to get an assessment from Mines and Geology. That was done. By the time we got the report, the period had passed. I'm wondering if there is another call we could use, if there's another call, if we could use the same proposal and I guess the same assessment. So she's wondering, you know, because you have to provide supporting documents if she can use the same proposal and the same assessment. I think most of the assessments like that, I don't know if Kitania, they have a life.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, they do.
So like for Mines and Geology, I mean, it's looking at soil and whether there's any movement. So maybe it could have, that assessment could take you up to 10 years. So I think you could submit that proposal, that assessment again. In terms of submitting the proposal, well, it depends on the funder. Are you submitting it to the same funder, or, you know, grantor, or are you trying another grantor? If it's another grantor, sometimes the format is a little different. So you may have to, you know, mix and match a little. If it's the same grantor, maybe they have a tweak or two, you can resubmit it. But the opportunity is there now, Kimo. You can go and look and see if, ask somebody to review it with a second eye and see if you missed anything. Or if there are any other stakeholders or partners that you need to bring on board. Do you need to bring on board the municipal corporation, for example, because you're doing development, you know, that sort of a thing? Do you need to engage in sports? Or if you're planning on football, do you need to talk to the football association? Or if it's basketball, the basketball association, you know, so you could spend the time to see if you need more partners involved. And yeah, and you can resubmit, as I said before. Sorry about that, Ketania.
No problem. You did very well a while ago. Could you remind me of who had asked that?
Kimoy Benjamin from the Kellits DAC.
Okay, so Kimoy is on our way. Remember at the beginning of the session, I was saying to you that sometimes we take the back route around in terms of writing our proposal instead of identifying the problem, doing our research to find out who our partners are, and then submitting the proposal to a donor who fits within what it is that we want to do. And that is exactly what Kimoy,
yes,
that is exactly what Kimoy has done. What Kimoy has really broken the back of her research proposal, because not only has she written the proposal and submitted, she has gotten feedback. And from that feedback, she is now able to pull on different partners that fits directly into what it is that she wants to do. So if another proposal comes along, Kimoy is well prepared to submit that proposal and can be confident that she will, or the organization will get the proposal because of the information that she has already gathered and the research that she has already done in that area, compared to an organization. And I'll use my organization, for example, Youth Crime Watch, who would not want to set up a playing field in an area and then having to go do all the background information and to get the report from geology to say that the area is fit and good for playing and all those different documentations that I may need. So that is what I meant when I was talking about doing your research and getting your partners involved, because really and truly, those are the things which help to boost your proposal. Those are the things which will put your proposal ahead of other organizations who are seeking the same kind of funding. That is what we'd call a competitive advantage. Because we have to understand as well that in this particular day and age, we have less grant funding, but we have more organizations who are seeking grants or who are seeking funding. So we have to then position ourselves in such a way that we are seen as the best out of the others who are applying for the same grants. So I would say, Kimora, that you are
on her way.
Yes, she is.
She better than Romeo. Romeo, do you have did you get an assessment from Mines and Geology for the play field? Romeo?
No, I don't. I haven't started that process as yet.
Right. So you can write that down as a step. And then, you would have to speak to CMC as well, just to make sure the permits and so on are in place. So that's a learning for us right there.
Oh, they will give me a free permit.
Well, then you can ask. You can ask for a waiver. There are partners. You can always ask for a waiver or a discount. We can always put a case.
I will ask for the waiver. The waiver.
All right.
I'll work with the waiver.
And just to strengthen Kitania's point, just remember that the competitive advantage is important. When you write your proposals, it's a sales pitch, It's like you're going to sell something, So we have all kind of sanitizers on the market, and you have your brand and you're taking it to a school. Your school came out, and we say, boy, my sanitizer is the best to protect children. And so you have to, your proposal is your sales pitch. You're selling yourself. So that's important. All right.
Excellent. All right, so we were at goal. We have any goals? You can write it in the chat as well. And Miss Douglas will just help read it for me, so I can just go through it and just see exactly where we are in terms of what we are thinking about when we hear the word goal or project goal. So you can write it in the chat as well. All right, project objectives. Project objectives. You were saying something, Ms. Douglas?
No, I was just saying, Kimoy says that she had applied. It was EFJ that she had applied to.
Okay.
So, yeah. But I would say something, one other point, Kimoy. If it was EFJ, you have to go back and look at what was the purpose of the call. So EFJ gets funding from EU, they get under the PPCR, and that's the pilot climate resilience program. So it depends on where they got the funding and the call was developed. So if it was around a specific, if it was around forestry, then you have to find a way to tie your development of the play field to climate change issues or environmental protection issues. So just bear that in mind. All right, Ketania.
Okay, no problem. All right, so the project objectives. Oh, sure, you can go ahead.
May I be acknowledged? Simmons from Spalding's DAC had challenge logging in. So I am still here chipping in and out, but just for the record, good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Mr. Simmons. Mr. Simmons is chair for the Spalding's DAC.
My representative would be sitting in.
Yes, she is. All right.
Okay.
She has introduced herself, so we know she's there. Thank you for joining.
All right. Blessing. Listening you.
Okay, great. All right, just to Kimoy, just to add as well, if it is that you are looking at youth development and violence prevention in your community, you can also check with USAID, because they normally have grants which speaks directly to that area, and see how whether or not there is any call out from that entity. Project objectives, and remember to write the goals, and I want to hear them. Project objectives. Project objectives are linked to the project goal, but looks more specifically at how, who, what, where. Project objectives should be SMART. So now we have defined our project goal. We know what our project goal is. The objective now is the path in which we are going to take to reach that goal. What it is that we will do, who it is that we will target, or who it is we will partner with. How do we expect to carry out this activity, and where we expect to carry out the activity. So that the objective looks at those four questions. But importantly, we talk about the objective being SMART. And Ms. Douglas, if there are any goals in the chat, just let me know, because I want to use the goals now to really help to define what the project objectives would look like.
I'm not seeing any yet, but I was telling Kimoy that she could share her goal for the development of the play field, or Romeo, anyone. You said it, just write it. You said that you wanted to develop the field to, so you could just write to look at wellness and unattached youth and all of that. Kimoy or
right.
Romeo,
So
can you share?
So the project goal. The project goal should be SMART, and the SMART is an acronym. And if you can write it down, please do. SMART, the S means specific. So what specifically are you targeting, or who specifically are you targeting? It should be measurable. I should be able to say 25 communities, or 1,000 people, or we want to plant 500 trees, or we're building 2 playing fields, or we're just building 1 playing field. We want to do 3 proposal writing training sessions, or we want to do a Christmas, 1 Christmas street in 2 communities. It should be measurable. So once you reach that goal, you actually know that, listen, this is what we said we're going to do. We wanted to build a playing field, 1 playing field. We built the playing field. So tick off that objective. We reached that objective. It should be attainable. Attainable means you should be able to reach that goal. You should be able to reach that objective. So not to say, write an objective, we want to increase health and wellness in our community, for everybody. How do you know that that's attainable? How can we measure it? How we know when we've reached that goal? The goal should be attainable, meaning that you should be able to see the end in sight. You should be able to see that, okay, it doesn't have to be a year, but over the next 2 years, we will be able to attain this particular objective. Over the next 6 weeks, we'll be able to attain this particular objective. The objective should be realistic. And boy, sometimes, and I'm guilty sometimes as well, because you want the proposal to look so good that you write all these lovely things in the proposal about what it is that you want to do, but it's not realistic. And I can give you an example. For example, especially in this COVID time, saying that you want to train 1,000 young people in something, in swimming or cooking, 1,000 young people over the next 2-3 weeks in cooking. No, that is not a realistic objective, because you know that it does take time for you to mobilize young people, to get the hard trust people to come in and to set up and to do all the things that needs to be done. So your objective needs to be realistic, and it must have a time. You have to have a time where you said, okay, then we want to accomplish this by end of year. We want to accomplish this within the next 3 months. We want to accomplish this within the next 6 months or within the next 3 years. So it must have a time. So when you look at your objectives now, you should see reasonably how it is that you will be able to accomplish what it is that you set out to accomplish. And it should be clear for persons who are reading it as well. For example, your donors or your partners or your beneficiaries. When they look at your objective, they should see exactly what it is that you want to achieve, and then be able to now see how that fits in your goal.
Okay, Ketania, I have 2 goals. One from Kimoy Benjamin up in Kelly's DAC to provide, this is for the play field, to provide a central location for recreation and sporting activities for community members.
Provide a central
location for recreation and sporting activities for community members. And then Romeo has, his project goal is to focus on health and wellness, provide a space for unattached youth or youths on a whole to play sporting activities. And then Kimoy has one of her objectives to provide 30 trees for fruit and shade for the staff and students of the Brandon Hill Primary School. So I guess in terms of developing the sports field, they would also plant fruit trees around the edges. Okay. So that would make it an environmentally friendly project. Yes, Kimoy, that's good. I would be a little bit more specific though in terms of my goal and name the community in there as well.
All right, so those are 2 good goals. So if we're supposed to look at the goals now and then create objectives from these goals, and I can just read them again. Kimoy says to provide a central location for recreation and sporting activities for community members. And Romeo says to focus on health and wellness and provide a safe space for youth to play sporting activities. I got those right?
Yes, you're correct.
Okay, great. So in terms of the objective now, and this is just opening up the discussion to others as well. In terms of the objective, let us look at Kimoy's own to provide recreation and sporting activities for community members. What could be an objective for Kimoy?
All right, so can members please participate? The thing about project proposal writing, if you don't practice, if you don't engage, you will not learn how to write a project proposal. It's about practicing and doing it over and over and
again.
failing sometimes.
Yes.
You're going to get a lot of rejection letters.
Yes.
So if you don't speak up, we can't help you.
And remember that we're not face to face again. So that is one of the ways we can gauge if you understand.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
You call.
Hi, good morning, Miss D. I'm sorry, I'm not around, so I'm kind of.
Yes, that's okay.
Yeah, but listening to I was a bit late, but listening to what Miss D and you were saying about project. In my area, there's a lot of deforestation where people cut down trees over a period of time, not now. So I'm wondering, because I listened to the project about climate changes, because of the lack of trees that we have a lot of rainfall, during the time when we used to have a lot of rainfall, there's no rainfall. So I'm saying that if in my year, I'm talking about my year, we could plant some trees to get things back to what it used to be, if we can come back to what it used to be.
So that would be your goal, to reforest
the
area.
goal, right?
Yeah.
And that goal is very specific. So it's to reforest. What's the name of the area?
It's the Simon
The Rockaway
community?
area.
Or
the Rockaway area in general. That side.
Rock River?
Yes,
yeah.
Rock River.
So it's to reforest, reforest the Rock River area. Very specific goal, very clear goal.
Yeah, because over a period of time, not now, people have been cutting down trees, and because of that, you have a deforestation. Because we have a lot of landslide and things like that. So I'm hoping that would be.
You see what you just said a while ago. You could just write that in your rationale, in your background.
Yeah.
So when you're writing about why it is that they should fund the project in your background, that is the information you put in the background. Over the years, people have been cutting down the trees to make furniture or to burn coal or to make coal. So that is what. So then we move on now to what exactly is happening. So you've seen the trees cut down. What kind of challenge you have because the trees are down?
We have a lot of landslide.
You have a lot of landslides, yeah.
Breakaway.
So you put that in your background. So that is how you start building your proposal. So you see a challenge, you identify what the problem is, and you find the solution. You try to find the solution now for the challenge that you're facing. So yes. We have a rationale, we have our goal, even though they are different, but we're getting an idea of some of the challenges that are facing these communities. And then how it is that you as members of the communities are looking to alleviate some of the challenges that we're having. Project, so we're back to the objectives now. So we were looking at.
So I think one of Kimoy's objective is to provide 30 trees.
30 trees.
For fruit and shade for the staff and students of Brandon Hill Primary School.
All right, so Kimoy, I would want you to, in terms of the fruit trees, to better explain how the fruit trees will help to help in recreation and sporting activities. How can we tie that together for it to flow from the general goal to the objective? Because remember, it has to, you're telling a story, right? It's like you're writing a story. So how can we fix the planting 30 trees to fit in the broader goal that you have? What is the link? Sorry to put you on the spot, Kimori.
I might assist him there.
Yes, you can, definitely.
Okay. It could also add for the food security, assisting with breakfast club. Once these trees reach maturity, it should be assisting with food security.
Food security, excellent.
Can I say something?
Sure.
One of the objectives for Kimoy could be to enhance mental and physical health.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think it also adds to nutrition, and you know, when after the activities, the playing activities, you could also eat a fruit.
Right.
Yeah.
So it would fit nicely into health and wellness right there.
And being it's a school, it adds to the school feeding program.
Right.
So now, Kimoy, if you are supposed to resubmit, to resubmit to EFJ.
I think we lost Kimoy.
We did. I hope I didn't run her.
No, I think she's having issues with electricity and so on.
Okay.
She'll when she comes back online, I'm sure she'll chat text in the chat.
Right. All right. So for this particular, if Kimoy is to resubmit to EFJ, because she's added the tree component, what she could do is within her goal also specify the importance of that part, the putting the tree, planting trees around the playing field. So she could say provide a central location for, as Miss Douglas said, recreation, health and wellness for the community members, to include, so that she can also include fruit trees as part of the 30 fruit trees as part of her objective. And then we can just move on now to
Janet Foster added to encourage proper eating habits in chat. You heard that?
Yeah, I'm writing it down.
Okay.
Eating habits. Right.
And then Miss Dillon has a different, Miss Dillon had a different goal. She has, by the end of February, at least, I think she's writing an objective. By the end of February, at least 6 students will be sitting in comfortable cushion chairs in their class.
Very specific.
Specific, yes. And measurable too. Yeah.
Very measurable.
6, yeah.
I won't get all the names, so bear with me. So to assist with the objective for Kimoy, we got some very good answers. For example, food security, We talk about nutrition, school feeding program. So this is how the fruit trees can assist or aid in the broader project goal, and to encourage proper eating habits. These are all how the fruit trees, which Kimoy spoke about, can help in the broader goal of providing that central space where recreational space for people. How do we then convert these into objectives? Because each of them can be converted into an objective, you know. And I know that we're deviating a bit from the broader thing that Kimoy probably wants to talk about, to looking more at health and wellness, what Romeo has put in his goal, but nonetheless, we're still working towards creating what we call the project objectives. We'll talk
I think for Kimoy's goal, she's more looking at reforesting, yes, but recreation and reforestation.
Okay.
and tree planting in terms of protecting the watershed, perhaps. So she could add that to her goal.
To her goal as well, to make it more, to make it broad, but inclusive.
Because if she applied to EFJ, then it has to speak to something about the watershed.
Sure.
Sometimes it has to do with the forest.
Right.
And where she is, it's just below the Bullhead Mountains. So she could talk about ensuring that the Bullhead Mountain area is preserved or protected, something like that, to complete the project, the goal statement.
Right.
And also provide, you know, what she said, recreation and sporting activities. So she needed to tighten up that, add those to it, to the goal, to tighten it up a bit.
Right.
May I add something?
Sure.
Yes, Miss Matthews.
She could refer also to climate change as it relates to the ecosystem.
So what did we talk about the other day? You remember what I gave you in your handbooks?
Yes, so she could add that to it as well.
So I gave you the climate, the sustainable development goals.
Yes.
So she could reference one of the SDGs, right?
Yes.
Or she could reference something in the Clarendon local sustainable development plan, one of the objectives.
Yes, she could.
Right. Very nice, Miss Matthew. Thanks. You're learning.
She could include like the life on land and the climate action.
Or climate action. SDG 13, right?
Yes.
Excellent.
May I add something also?
Yes, Miss Gowdy.
I think she could add a hand wash station. Put up some hand wash station in that area too. That where people,
at the school.
Yes. In that recreation area that she's
okay, so she could tie that back when she's doing her objective. She could tie it back to COVID-19 maybe, and ensuring that when persons are doing recreation, they have enough equipment and so on to take part in those activities. I think Kimoy is back on. Kimoy, we're calling your name a lot. You hearing us? Kimoy? I know there is no electricity in that area since last night. So she's having a bit of a challenge. Miss Coley, you wanted to say something. Miss Coley?
Miss, I'm Hanu. But even with the hand washing station, she could tie it in and said the water would be recycled to water the plants.
Whoa, excellent. That's good. And then there's a SDG. Yeah, man, there's a SDG goal that applies to. Anybody can find it? That's excellent, Miss Coley. Yes, so you can recycle the water and use it to water the play field. You hear that, Romeo? All right, nice. Sorry, go ahead, Kitania.
Right. So definitely on a roll in terms of from that one goal, there are so many things which came out of that one goal.
But I'm hardly hearing and stable out.
You're not hearing me more? So, look, we're recording Kemoy, so don't worry. I hear that there's no electricity since last night up there. But we're recording, so you'll get all the information.
Is that a project for that area?
What, the electricity? Maybe we need to introduce, what would we introduce in that area if we talked about electricity?
Solar
power. All right, solar, good. All right, go back to you, Miss Griffith, sorry.
1 second, please.
While we wait for Ms. Griffiths, just want to say to the DAC persons that we have created a Gmail account that speaks to your reports, and we have uploaded in that. So we'll send the links to all the DAC chairs. You can upload your reports in that account. And the forms are there. We're also going to put the local sustainable development plan. It's there as well, Vision 2030. And I uploaded a comic strip, which gives greater explanation about the SDG goals. So, you know, if we're going back to SDG goals, you know, goal 3 talks about health and well-being. So you can reference that. And we also talked about water and sanitation, where clean water and sanitation, that's where Ms. Coley mentioned about recycling. So you can always reference goal 6. Right, so, and a little while ago, we talked about solar energy, that's goal 7. And we have corresponding objectives in the local sustainable development plan. Ready now, Ms. Griffiths, back to you.
Sure. Yeah, I was just commenting the group a while ago. And just seeing how from that one particular goal, so many things came out of that one particular goal. It goes to show that there are so many different ways in which we can create solutions to some of the issues that we're facing in our communities. But outside of that is now to develop further how these that were just mentioned can be converted into what we call smart objectives. And I can just go through some of the things that were said. We talk about food security, climate change goal. Someone mentioned a hand wash station. We'll talk about enhanced mental health and physical nutrition. Talk about school feeding program, encourage proper eating habits, and did I mention? Yes. So there were just so many things which came out of that. One goal that Kimoy had mentioned, one to help to kind of enhance the goal, but also as supporting objectives for the goal. For the food security goal, how can we make that goal specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound, based on the information that I shared with you earlier? Food security. Anybody can answer.
Sorry, I distracted a little while ago. What was the question?
So I just mentioned all the different objectives that could come from Kimoy's goal. So I was asking now, for the food security goal, how could we make that food security objective, how can we make it smart? How can we change that now into a smart objective that is specific, it is measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound.
Okay. So Kimoy had there to provide 30 trees for fruit and shade. And somebody else mentioned to encourage proper eating habits. So we could merge both of that for the students at Brandon Hill Primary School. And we need to put a by when. So you would need to add a by when. So maybe by the end of what time? When would you plant those trees? And trees take a long time to come, so you know the impact.
Right.
Yeah.
So like 3 years.
3 years or so. So we put
years.
over a 3-year period or something like that. So we plant them by X. So when I would change to rather than to provide 30 trees, I would say to plant 30 trees, make it very specific. Kimoy says she's not hearing so good, but we can help her. Yes, Mrs. Brown.
Yes, could we be more specific about the trees? Because if we just say 30 trees, that does not necessarily.
She said fruit and fruit and shade. She had a mixture of fruit and shade trees.
Good.
So
Thank you.
Would, yeah. So that would make it very specific.
So we just need to put a time to it now.
So you probably to do that, I always am very careful about the procurement part of it. So you need to bear that in mind when you're putting your time frame in. Sometimes when you contact forestry department, or rather they will tell you they don't have any seedlings and so on. So put a proper time frame in, don't put 3 months, maybe put a 6 months time period or so. Sometimes when you get the seedlings or the plantlings, they can't be planted at the time because it's a drought, and maybe you did not put enough money in the project for irrigation and so on. So, or you didn't put enough money to purchase water. So all of those things, you have to bear it in mind when you're writing, when you're talking about the time frame. I've had that experience where, especially last year during COVID, when we got the money, the organizations couldn't get the trees because there were none available at the time. So you have to make sure that you put enough time into the project. So Kimoy said that they made contact with RADA at the time, and they specified 4 types of fruit trees. So you see, she using up our partners and our experts.
Yes.
Yeah. So I would suggest over a 6 months period. By the time you get to procurement and you start to plant and ensure that you have water and so on, I would put a 6 months period for planting.
And it's a Brandon Hill Primary School.
Brandon Hill Primary School. And sometimes if you're not so sure about the technicalities, you contact RADA or JS, they will be able to guide you.
All right, so we have a very good example of what a specific SMART objective is. So Kimoy had mentioned that she wanted to plant 30 fruit trees. So what we did was to add to make it measurable, to make it attainable, realistic, and time-bound. So the objective would read like this: to plant 30 fruit and shade trees at the Brandon Hill Primary School within 6 months, or by 6 months, or in 6 months.
In 6 months. I think the in 6 months is good because sometimes when you write the proposal, you're not sure when you will get the money. So you don't have a specific time, so you have to put it within timelines, kind of a range.
So that is a SMART objective.
Yes.
Within 6 months.
Yes, Mr.
Wi-
Yeah, within 6
Within?
months.
Yes, so
Yes.
within 6 months.
Within
As
6 months.
remember, I tell you that you have to remember that you have to procure. You have to get these things. And there are some other things called procurement rules. So you have to
Right.
bear those in
Go
mind.
by, right. So, so that is an example of what a SMART objective is. It is specific. It's specific because it talks about where the trees will be planted and the types of trees will be planted. It is measurable. It tells you how many trees will be planted, and it tells you again where the trees will be planted. So if EFJ should come or visit and say, where are the 30 trees that you said you planted, Kimoy can always go and show them the 30 trees that were planted and where they were planted. It is attainable within the time frame that she has proposed this to happen. It can happen within that time. Once she gets the fruit trees and the relevant resources needed to plant the fruit trees, she can actually get that activity done. It is realistic. We all can see how she's able to plant the trees. We can see the area in which she's going to plant the trees. There is not a lot of trees, so a team from the community can come together and plant one tree around the area which she had outlined to plant the trees. It is time bound. It shows you by when this objective will be reached. So you can then say, okay, then we have achieved this. We can tick it off and move on to the next objective. All right. Any questions as it relates to what was said a while ago? Are we understanding what's how you develop a SMART objective and what a SMART objective would look like based on
Tanya is muted, but is everybody understanding? Can you unmute and let me hear if you're still there?
Yes, I'm still here.
Is it clear? Is it clear?
Yes.
Yeah, clear.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yes, I'm here.
Good. And
Yeah,
you're
ma'am.
understanding that your
Mr.
objective.
Simmons is saying congratulations. Oh, collectively, how beautiful the collaborative efforts.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Simmons.
It's commendable, yes, man. I mean, effort. Make it clear. Make it very clear.
Okay, thank you. All right. So, Kitania, back to you.
all right, great. So we can, if I leave you now to write some project objectives, we can get some SMART project because I want to see examples and I like to know that.
All right, before you go, before we write them, let me share Miss Coley's objective. So we have been talking a lot about the trees, planting of trees and the recreational area. But Miss Coley says that her project is to reactivate their homework program so that we can have a 50% increase in children passing their GSAP, now it is PEP, for their school of choice.
By when?
She doesn't have a by when. Or within a what time? Or within a 2-year period, some projects are 2 years. So, or, you know, for you to see a 50% increase, it's going to take a lot of work. That is a soft, what I would call a soft project. It's about reading and writing and literacy. So it takes a longer time for you to see a change rather than you're just building something or planting something. So Miss Coley, you got that one? Coley?
Yes, Miss.
Okay, I remember saying it's not GSAT anymore, it's PEP.
Well,
So Miss,
so often I can't even remember this.
You can hear them change it, yeah, right.
so Miss Foley, I would put a timeline on that objective. You spoke about the number of percentage, or you spoke about exactly what it is that you want to increase by 50%, and the school that you're looking to increase it by 50%. Well, as Ms. Douglas said, just put a timeline to it and bear in mind that it cannot be 6 months or a year, because those things actually takes time to develop. Reading, writing, mathematics, those will take some time. So you have to put a realistic timeline on that particular objective, and it will be a smart objective.
And you know what else, Kitania? I would, sorry, that's my alarm. I would target maybe to give yourself time, maybe grade 3 children in the community or something like that. In order to give yourself time to work with these children
and makes
it more targeted.
It makes it more targeted. That is so right. So that is how I would kind of fix that objective to make it more specific, so you know exactly who it is you are targeting. You know the age group, and what that does is that it also helps you to identify the persons now who you will need to pull on to help teach those students, to bring them up to the 50% passing grade that you are looking for. So that is how we look at this, the objective, and how then the objective helps us to build out our activities and who we partner with and all those things that we need to make the proposal wholesome. So I commend that one. Yes, you can go ahead.
Yes, sometimes the prospective donor asks for sustainability of the project.
Right.
Where would you explain
sustainability?
That sustainability aspect.
Exactly.
All right, so that sustainability aspect would come further in the proposal. So it can actually come here. It can actually come in the objectives, because what is happening with the PDC right now is a part of the sustainability plan. Because what they're actually doing, if you realize, is that they're building the capacity of the different organizations that make up the PDC. So in building your capacity, you can then go out to look your own grants and be able to manage your own grants. So that is that's a sustainability plan of the PDC. So in terms of sustainability, we can put it in the objective to say that we are running particular project proposal workshop for, I'm not sure how many organizations are in the PDC, but it's
8 DACs. So we could say that we are
8 DACs in Clarendon, over I would say over a 2-year period, because it does take time for you to build the capacity of these persons to do the different things which are necessary in the proposal and send them on their way to writing their own proposals and getting their own funding. So I could put it in the project objective, but also it is covered in another section of the project proposal in terms of sustainability.
Yes, it's a direct heading. For SGP, it's a direct heading that they have. I can't remember. For EFJS, it's a direct heading.
For SGP, it's a direct heading as well.
So what you want to, so for example, for the trees, you want to talk about how you're going to maintain the trees. You're going to make goats eat them down and cow.
Right.
Or how you're going to make sure that it is watered. I remember way back when we did PDC, did a water project. and it was, no, sorry, a forestry project. And we did it in 2009, if I don't know if Sharnit is listening. And when we replanted those trees in the Pleasant Valley area, guess what happened? That year, there was a prolonged drought period, and we lost some of the trees. We had bushfires, all of that. So you want to build into your tree planting projects something that has to do with water management. And Ms. Coley talked about the recycling of the water and so on. So you want to build that into your project and think about how you're going to maintain it. Will there be a team of persons that will help you to maintain it? Are you going to register? We registered with RADA to ensure that any benefits that as a farming group you can get, you know. Are you going to put a management and a maintenance schedule in place? So how often will you go and make sure it is weeded and so on? So you want to put those things in place. For your homework program, you know, where would you get the teachers from who will do the homework program for sustainability? How will you make sure that the students attend homework? So are you going to inject a little snack when they come? And where will you get the snack? Who are you going to partner with to get the snack? And are you going to incorporate the church in the area and get some volunteer teachers or retired teachers there? Are you going to get some computers? Who is going to maintain the computer? Are you going to find a young person who is studying computer studies at UTech or NCU or UA to come in and look at it? So there's a whole heap of things that you have to think about depending on the project.
Yes, I understand.
Sustainability.
Yeah, when you're talking about sustainability.
Yes. Thank you.
To bring it back,
Hezekiah, remember to help us sometimes if we lose it.
Yeah, I was just about to chip in, Miss D. Yeah, depending on the project as well, because if you're working with another organization in terms of capacity building, that will help with the sustainability as well. So for like community groups who work at the grassroots level, sometimes they would work with other organizations. You know, and like I said, depending on what the project is about, if you're building capacity, probably training of staff and so on, that would help with the sustainability of the project.
Right. So like what we are doing right now, we have always formed a relationship with the SDC. And I understand Stephanie and Shamara are very quiet, but anyway. So SDC is there and they offer proposal writing and maintenance support. So that's why we have them in the training. And we have Ezekiel, who's from NIA, as a major partner who can help us. And here we have Ketania. So it's not all on the PDC who will help to provide this support. And depending on the type of project, now we pull in an agency that is responsible for that specific area.
Right, so a part of
Miss D.
Yes?
Correct, Miss D.
All right, Steph.
So also a part of the sustainability is actually the partnerships that you form with different persons, with different organizations and with different people. So even after this training session is done, you have a link to SDC, you have a link to NIA, you have a link to me. So if you need any questions and so on and so forth, or any assistance, you can pull on the different persons to help you to develop or to help to build that sustainability for your organization or for the project itself going forward. I wanted to point out, though, that in terms of, since we're talking about Kimoy's project, in terms of sustainability, because her area, the area in which she is proposing to build out the project is within an enclosed space or within a small geographic space, sustaining that tree planting activity or sustaining the recreational activity could be in the form of getting the students' participation in the planting of the trees and in the upkeep and maintenance of the trees as well. Getting parents a part, a PTA, a part of the project as well in terms of helping to sustain the project. So sustainability again takes different forms and involves different people, not only at the higher level, but as Hezekiah had mentioned, at the grassroots level as well, getting everyone involved as part of your sustainability plan. All right, so I am going to move on now from the project objectives. Let me know if...
I don't know if persons want to take a wellness break at this point or if we want to continue. Just raise your hands if you want us to continue. Or if you want to take a little break, stretch your legs, make a phone call, take a breath, walk around a little.
All the above.
Yeah. Ms. Gaudi, you want to take a break?
Yes, thank you, Miss.
Okay, anybody else want to take a break?
Me too.
Grabbing the
Miss
brunch
Douglas.
this time.
All right, so you want to take a break?
Miss Douglas, me.
Yes, Miss Cloverlyn wants to take a break, and I think I want a quick break just to talk to staff about our Remembrance Day. All right, so Ketania, how much minutes can we give persons?
I can give them 10 minutes.
10 minutes? So 10 minutes
snacks for breaks?
Yes, man. I'm projecting the snack. I'm beaming it to you. Okay.
Snacks.
All right, so it's now 10:40. We return at 11:40. Return at 11:50. So don't sign out. Just come back at 11:50. And just to remind everybody here, said Romeo wants to remind everybody that RADA and JAS writes projects as well. So 10 minutes break. See you later. Participants, it's now 11:51. I don't know if Ketania is back, but we are ready to start again.
Yes, I am.
Let me know if you're there. Who is back? Raise your hands or unmute your mic and let us know if you're back with us.
Present.
Okay, I'm seeing a number of hands. All righty. Ketania?
Yes, I'm here. I'm right here.
All right. Okay, over to you.
Okay, great. All right, so just to recap what we've been through, we've spoken about the reasons we write proposals. We have spoken about different processes that we take when writing the proposal. And we've started now to go through the key components of the proposal. We went through the rationale, which is also called the background of the proposal. And some people refer to it as the introduction of the proposal. We spoke about the goal, which is broadly what it is that the project wants to achieve. And lastly, we looked at the objectives and how to make our objectives smart and related to our project goal. So now we will move on to project output and project outcomes. All right, so the project output and project outcomes are very related. And we have to remember that everything that we are discussing, as I said before, it is us telling a story. It is us telling a story of how it is we plan to solve the problem that or the challenges that we are faced with in our different organizations or in our different communities. So the project output and the project outcome is a part of that story. As a matter of fact, the project output and the project outcome puts a bit more flesh in the story that you're presenting. It gives more detail to the person who is reading the story that you're telling in your project proposal. So the project output and outcome speaks specifically to what needs to be done to get the required result. The outcome is directly linked to the output and is as a result of the output, which means that in order for you to get the outcome that you want, you have to write or you have to target a particular output. And we'll get into some examples to make it a bit more clearer in terms of output and outcome. The outcome is the ripple effect of the output. All right, so examples of outcomes and output. And output, hours of job training services or number of counseling sessions. And from that, the outcome will be reduced rate of reoffending. So this is for an organization, like for example, my organization, which is Youth Crime Watch of Jamaica, where we look at young people or at-risk youth within particular communities and trying to reduce the number of persons who are engaged in criminal or violent activities. So our output would be training for these young people, because we have this saying that the devil finds hands for idlers. So what we do is that we find programs to engage these young people, training programs, sporting programs, educational programs. And this is in an effort to reduce the rate of reoffending. Another example is our addiction treatment, or the number of participants in a particular program. For example, I don't remember who it is that said that they wanted to reduce or increase educational attainment for grade 3 students, or increase the PEP pass for grade 3 students to 50%. So that is, the output for that would be the number of students that that person or that organization will reach out to, or the number of students that will benefit from the program. And at the end of that, we want to see a increase in literacy and numeracy. We want to see an increase in PEP passes to their preferred high school of choice. So if you're seeing the process from output to outcome in these examples, that is how it is that you go about now writing your outputs and outcomes for your proposal. Another is hours of training, the number of potential employees engaged. Again, we're speaking to a specific number of people that we want to target. In another project that we were implementing, and this project was funded by the National Integrity Action, we were targeting 5 police youth clubs across 3 different communities, both urban and rural communities in Jamaica. So we were building the capacity of these 5 community youth clubs. And the outcome of building the capacity of those 5 community youth clubs was to make their organization more sustainable in carrying out the activities that they wanted to carry out. So it's really increasing sustainability of the police youth clubs that we had as an outcome for that particular project. So we spoke specifically of what it is that we wanted to do. We wanted to build their capacity. And we spoke about the number of police youth clubs that we wanted to target. And we wanted to target 5 of the police youth clubs in 3 communities, or in 3 parishes. The last example we have here is the number of social worker or number of families in programs, and the outcome is reduce the number of children in foster care. So here they are looking at, again, how many social workers they will need, and looking at the number of families that they currently have which need the support of these social workers. And in mapping those 2 things, they are then able to reduce the number of children in foster care. So that is what I mean when I said the outcome is a ripple effect of what the output is. So your output is what you think is what the kind of the activities that you are thinking about, or the activities that you're putting in place in order to get a particular result. Romeo spoke about health and wellness, his health and wellness project. Now his health and wellness project is targeting a particular area, and he's looking at one, youth development, and he's also looking at community development. So his output now would be the number of youth in which he engages in participating or in benefiting from this play field that he wants to create in his area. And the outcome now would be improved safety, or improve the safety and security spaces for or recreational spaces for youth to play. You know, I'm just pulling things out of the air as I go along. But I'm hoping that you're getting the connection between outputs and outcomes. At times we get confused as to what is where or which is which. So to make the distinction, just know that the output is what it is you will be doing, the activities that you will be carrying out in order to get a particular result. So it is the trees that we will be planting in order to increase food security. It is the playing field that we are building in order to increase health and wellness. It is the proposal writing sessions that we are encouraging or that we are engaging in order to increase sustainability for the different organizations in Clarendon. So that is really how you look at the project outputs and then the project outcome. I'm not sure if Hezi is going to go into the log frame at this point, or I should just go straight to the activities and then he will talk about the log frame. Ms. Douglas?
Hello, yes. Ezekiel, are you there?
Miss D, yes, I'm here.
All right, you want us to kind of tell them what the log frame is about, just briefly?
Okay, all right. Since Ketania is on this slide, I probably can just touch on it. All right, so here Ketania mentioned about the outputs, the activities, the outcome. All right, so we're from the rural areas. A lot of people familiar with, you know, a chicken coop. So let's use that for example. Say you want to build a chicken coop, right? You know that you have to get certain resources. You're gonna need some couple sheet of zinc. You're gonna need mesh. You're gonna need some board, right? So that's the input. That's the resources that you will need, right? Remember now that you want to build the chicken coop. So the activity, you probably get one worker or probably yourself. You know, you build that chicken coop. That's the activity, right? That's what you do to transfer the resources to the output, right? So the output is basically what you achieve immediately with the resources that you gather. All right. And now you have the outcome.
Sorry, Ezzy. I see Miss Goldie and is up. I don't know if she wants to say something. Miss Goldie? Oh. All right, continue. Sorry.
Okay, so now the outcome is how the activity directly impacts on the people that you're targeting. We're using the fall cube. So it in this case it would be you're now able to rear chicken. You can sell and produce. So that's the direct outcome there. All right. So the outcome is always what the output, the activity, all of that you would have participated in, how it impact on the people, or how it affect the people. All right, let me use another example. If you're doing trainings, because most of us were familiar with trainings, right? So again, the resources, you probably need some material, some books, whatever you need to put the training together. The activities, you probably want some facilitators, you know, to help guide you through the training, to facilitate the training, that is. The output is basically the training material, what the training has produced, and how it affect the learning process of the participants. Now, that would have to do with the outcome. And you can go a bit further, you have the impact as well. They said that can be measured 3 to 5 years, right? So the impact probably, say you train some teachers, you want to see how well this activity would have benefited probably national development. Probably say 3 to 5 years, you say you would do assessment and you probably see this reflecting in the pass rate of students, you know, just to give you an example. So impact is more measured on a wide scale basis. Now, Ketania, she did very well in terms of explaining the project objectives and so on. You really need to have those objectives be very clear and specific, smart, like she mentioned, so you can have that log frame in place. Now, the log frame is not different from what we have here, because in the log frame, you will have the outputs, you will have the activities, you will have the outcome, right? And that is all stemming from the objectives that you would have put together. Now, I want to mention, when you're thinking about, you know, initiative, something that you want to do in the community, sometimes we have some brilliant ideas. Like I was listening in earlier, you know, people want community centers, you know, various things. Just ensure that there is a need for this item that you'd want to implement. Sometimes we think that what we want is what is required, and that is not always the case. You don't want to set up to get a project or get funding for a community center that at the end of the day, it cannot be used, right? You probably be in the community center probably be established in an area that is volatile and persons can't really get to access it. So these are things that you have to factor as well. One of the things that you can do to mitigate that is conduct a needs assessment. Now, the needs assessment is really the fancy term of doing a simple research to find out the needs of the people. So let me use another example. Say you set up a restaurant in the community, right? You start selling burgers, and the people them never want a burger. So you realize you're not getting no customers, right? The people them really want cooked food, but because they never did research from in the beginning, you wouldn't have realized this. It's the same with projects. Sometimes we come about with some fancy project and we not get the participation rate that we would have required, you know, or wanted. And we know see people that turn out and we say, oh, the people them not turn out, them not participate. But really and truly, whenever they do the research, we find out, say, this is not what is required by the people or wanted by the people. So some of the time we have to bear that in mind. Do a little research before we put our proposal together. That will help with the background as well. I heard Ketania touch on that in terms of research. And this will also help with the log frame. Now, Ketania would have mentioned that, you know, you keep the objectives smart, you keep them specific time bound, so you put a number to them, right? So for example, say you want to train 80 persons, right? Or prior to writing the proposal, you did your research and you realize that you know there is a need for let's say training of some teachers, right? You identify that you want to train 80 teachers. Now this will help in the log frame, right? This will help the monitoring of the project. So as you go along and you set out your objective them as you conduct your trainings, you can go back and match and say, did I meet this target, right? I set out that I want to train 80 people. No, I've conducted 3 trainings. Did I meet that quota? So this is how you set up your log frame and monitor. And we all do monitoring in our everyday life, right? We monitor with pot when you put your pot on the stove, right? You cook your pot, you go back every 5 minutes and you check. That's an example of monitoring. It's no different when it comes on to project, right? So these objectives that you establish, you're gonna put them in the log frame. You're gonna break it down a little bit more in terms of the activities. So if you, let's use one of the example, a community center. If you say you want to build a community center, right? And you want to install